wild, I'm absolutely furious. Wild Streets is a 1990 game published by French software house Titus. We'll start off on the Amiga and I'll explain things as we go on. Atmospheric soundtrack and lovely graphic at the beginning here, with some screeches of your pet, panther thing, and some Tim Westwood noises. So as we go into the game, you see the panther on the title screen being helicoptered in for some reason. That's called Black Virgin. Yeah, I've double checked that, and you get dropped in now, and you have to fight your way through 5 levels to rescue someone and then fight your way back again. The panther will occasionally jump on people to kill them, but you have no control over it. It will just randomly decide it wants to kill someone. It's nicely animated. The sprites are quite blocky, like they've been enlarged. Push scrolling, which is an odd choice on the Amiga. Why can't it just scroll? So far, all the baddies have white trousers and red shoes. Over to the Atari ST.
Titus presents Wild Street.
And you get sample music on the title screen as well. Probably the sample from the Amiga, to be fair. It probably explains why the game was on 2 discs originally, with a sample of this length. I'm ready for level 1. I'm ready for level 1. And off we go. Oh, we're not ready for level 1, we're still in demo mode. Okay. So here we go, the panther gets helicoptered in again. Why is the... I mean, how did the panther release itself from the harness? I have many questions. How can you transport a panther like that? ST version has the same... It looks like the graphics have just been enlarged. They were originally smaller, and someone went, no, these are too small, make them bigger. Animation is not great. Oh, did my tiger do something there, my panther? Oh no, there are some baddies with black trousers. I apologise for saying all the baddies look the same. I mean, they've just changed parts of the sprites, haven't they? Your kick move is the most effective, as it always seems to be in fighting games. There's about 10 screens to each level. And the... If you do a flying kick, it always makes a sound like you've impacted someone. Regardless of if you're near anyone or touch them or not. There's a clip down there on the floor for my bullets. You get 5 bullets for your gun at maximum 1 go. Use them sparingly, because you will need them for the end of level baddie. Over to the C64. Get used to this tune. You're going to be hearing a lot of it on this version. A horribly blocky W on the Wild Streets for some reason. Overall, it's quite a nice graphic. No helicoptering down on the 64, and the sprites look like, well, yeah. Unlike the 16-bit versions, you can actually jump in this version, which means it's perfectly possible to jump your way to the end of the level without really needing to do any combat. I'm only fighting here just to show the combat. Oh, hang on, someone ran past the panther there and died without the panther jumping on them. Spectrum version, which appears to be mute. I've tried seeing if there's a 128K version. The animation is slow, and it gets slower the more there is on the screen. Graphics are large and clear, but there's not even any 48K beeper noises. It just appears to be mute. And looking at Rich Pelly's review in Your Sinclair, he alludes to the fact there's no sound without saying that outright. Over to the Amstrad CPC version, and there's also a GX4000 version, but look at that overscan. I'm going to try and alternate between the two versions for you. And that's the GX4000 screen, which is significantly different. Now I'm going to put them both on screens at once. Amstrad CPC on the left, GX4000 on the right. And it's often been said there's no difference between the versions. Well, I think we can see there is. I mean, they're both terrible, but there are graphical differences. Look at the status bar on the right on the GX4000. More colours. They've tweaked the colour palette, and the screen fades up and down as you go between screens. It goes fades up again. Well, it fades up. It is, however, a completely blocky, badly animated mess. I mean, so Titus have definitely done stuff with this, upgrading it, but yeah, they haven't improved anything that's actually important. PC version. And it looks ostensibly the same as the Amiga and ST version. There appears to be a bit of speeding up and slowing down. I have had to slow my PC down to do this, but the ST version slows down a bit as well. EGA graphics, which are looking fairly good, to be honest. Well, at least it says it's running in EGA. And the version I've got doesn't offer me any sound. There may have been a sound option somewhere, but not in the version I have. So back to the Amiga. And your Panther also has energy down the bottom beneath my status there, which has hardly any energy left. This should be the end of level, so what you do is you save all your bullets and you shoot the end of level baddie and hopefully get to the end of the level so you can get some more energy. The Panther won't help you at this stage. The Panther will just sit around doing nothing. He won't attack the big bad guy. On to level 2. More Tim Westwood noises. C64 coming to the end of level 1. See what I mean about that music getting annoying? It's so badly animated on all these versions. And on the C64, you can just walk to the end of the level and there's no end of level baddie, seemingly. GX4000 approaching the end of level 1. And yeah, I do seem to have walked in the end of the level again. And on the CPC and GX4000 version, the Panther doesn't have energy. It just says enemy at the bottom, which is supposed to be something to do with the end of level enemy, but baddie, but I can't see where. Back onto the ST with some samples when you kick people. And we're into level 1, and now we're just going to dispatch the big guy. Just shoot him. This big guy will reoccur at the end of most of the levels. And you can get pinned against the edge of the screen as well, which isn't helpful. And oh yeah, the baddie can only go one way, can't turn around. They couldn't flip the sprite and make him walk the other way, and the animation's so terrible. It's like Paul Young, a giant Paul Young. And again, I'm pinned against the edge of the screen. Can't even see what I'm doing. I'm just taking damage. I've run out of bullets. This is bad. PC version. And here's how you do it. You just save all your bullets and shoot him. There aren't many clips around to renew your bullets or refresh them. And as you go through the game, the clips become less and less, which makes it harder. On to level 3 on the PC. They've put all the animation effort into the Panther. Just how it walks. It's the same as you go through. I mean, you think of all those generic beat-em-ups we've looked at down the years, and it's... Yeah, I can't see why Titus thought people would buy this. GX4000 version again. End of level 2 done. No end of level baddie. And on to level 3. And it's amazing that Titus have done these enhancements for the cartridge version. yet it is so lackluster. It's the animation. They could have done a copper effect in the sky, yet they've done the fading effect. It's kind of like they've gone for what's the easiest upgrades we can do here, because Amstrad aren't going to let us just port games directly on to cartridge. That was the rule. CPC version. And here another enhancement on the GX4000 version, the Plus version. It doesn't suffer from the slowdown that the standard CPC version does. This is awful. And back to the GX4000 just for comparison. So it's just got a bit more speed to it, and the music doesn't slow down. So it could be using the DMA for the sound. It's such a... It's like they were given a few days just to upgrade it. Spectrum version, which does suffer from slowdown like the standard CPC version. And it's arthritically slow on the Spectrum. Completely silent and horrible. Your Sinclair gave this 51%. That was Rich Pelly. He said, as bog standard beat 'em up as you can get. Amstrad Action gave the standard version 55%. Zap gave the Commodore 64 version 34% and the Amiga version 67%, saying it's fun for a while but unoriginal and overpriced. And Amiga Action gave it 40%. And I'm looking at some of these versions, and I'm not the C64, but I'm reminded a little bit of Dick Tracy. That's level 3 done. And I'm wondering if some of these versions, specifically the CPC, may have used bits of code. I don't know. There's something Titus do where their games can look and sound good, obviously not this version, but they never play well. We're back to the PC version. They're just always... Titus, yeah, even Crazy Cars 2, which looks amazing on some of the versions, just doesn't play well. Dick Tracy, the infamous Dick Tracy, Titus the Fox, they always managed to get the... It's like the graphics mattered, but nothing else did. Style over substance. Oh, we've got a different end of level baddie. Sorry, I think I said it's always the same. It's this bald guy who also can't flip round and will therefore wrap around the screen. Amiga version. And there we go. There's the person we've got to rescue, who looks like Stan Harvey from Crossroads. He's been captured by the mafia or something. It's a fighting game set in New York. It's as generic can get. Now, once I've freed him, I've got to walk him back all of the levels, protecting him, and he won't fight back. So not only do I have to protect myself, but and fight my way through, I have to protect him, and he won't, fight back. So, and once he's lost his energy, that's it. So I think he gets an energy bar once we come off this screen. I think. Ah, well, I've got a cheat on, so that's probably why. I think he gets a separate energy bar as well. Once that goes down, he's dead. It's terrible, and it's so hard now. The game just ramps it up and up and up. Level 5 on the Spectrum. And there's Stan Harvey again, waiting to be rescued by, presumably Anthony Mortimer has kidnapped him and is holding him to a stake. So we're just going to shoot our way to the end of the level. Slowly. And that's the end on the Spectrum. That's it. You've completed the game. You don't have to walk him back through all the levels. And at this point, the game hangs. You can't get out of this screen. And one amazing thing about the Spectrum version is you need to press fire when you've finished the levels. But you can only do that if you're playing on joystick on a Kempston joystick. If you've got a Sinclair joystick, it won't work. So you have to be using a Kempston joystick or be playing on keyboard to get to level 2. That's some superb coding. That's great. C64 version, and I am near the end of the game, but also nearly out of energy. And over to the Amstrad CPC standard version, and all these 3 8-bit versions. Once you rescue Stan Harvey or whoever he is at the end of the game, that's it. You don't have to escort him back through all the levels. Back to the Amiga. And this is the end of level 5. Now I've got to stand to the end of the level. Hang on, who's that on that billboard there? So we go on to level 6, which is level 4, but backwards. And you've got to march Stan, who is incapable of lifting a finger, back through this level. It is extremely tedious. I suppose the novel aspect of this game is the fact you have to transport someone back through the game to safety, but it could be done in a better way. Perhaps each level should be a separate person you're rescuing and you escort them back. Oh, this is tedious rubbish. And at this point of the game, as you battle your way back through ever increasingly difficult baddies, you're wondering why you're playing this total and utter rubbish, and that you paid £25 for it. Wild Streets is another example of a Titus game where on at least some of these versions they've tried to do some nice graphics, at least in parts. Now, even that overscan on the Amstrad CPC standard version looks nice. But, yeah, it's just terrible. It's not the worst beat 'em up I've ever played, but it's close. Some of the reviewers seem to think the graphics were a redeeming feature, but yeah, the moves are limited, the controls on some of the versions are laggy. The Spectrum and C64 versions are an example of we really can't be bothered. And the Amstrad version, well, because it's a French game, they've put at least a minimal amount of effort in, but it's still terrible. At least the GX4000 version is slightly upgraded, but no, I mean, look at those sprites. You could have lovely sprites on that system, have more colours, do it really nicely. They've just upgraded the game in a couple of days using the easiest features they could utilise on the console, so they could tell Amstrad it wasn't just a standard CPC version on a cartridge. The game doesn't scroll on systems where it could scroll. You get pinned up the edge of the screen. There's a lack of variety in baddies. There's a lack of variety in end-of-level baddies. Having bullets is useless, barring the end-of-level baddie, which you will need to save your bullets for. This stuff isn't challenging Double Dragon. This stuff isn't challenging Dragon Ninja or any other decent beat-em-up that you had at this time. It's just Titus yet again. We've got a few nice graphics, we're tie it all together, and then that's a game. No. The only thing you can say in favour of this terrible Titus game is that it's not as bad as Dick Tracy, which they bought out at about the same time.